So guys, we got a 40-degree Everest. That's what it says on the outside, but customer complaint is it's freezing product. So let's see what we got here. So we got 30 degrees on the right door. That ain't cool. We got 31, 30, 28 degrees. Yeah, that's below freezing. 32 is freezing, as you guys know. 18 degrees. 18 degrees here. 23, 22. Yeah, you're gonna have frozen stuff. So that's 26, 25. Up by the temperature sensor, it's 41. So actually it is reading right per the sensor, but so it's, I'll check the units. Alright, okay guys, back on this job. You probably recognize this one if you've been watching my videos. Got the authorization to replace condenser fan motors that are going real slow. After this condenser fan motor here, man, it's barely freaking turning. This thing's just ready to die. Whew, that's hot. It's a little hot. Yeah, so got to put some tappet lines too on this unit and see what's up with this unit. Let's see what's going on. Yeah, these units, I bet you they're running pretty high head pressures or something. These fan motors are about to quit. That's what must be going on, because yeah, heads are pretty, domes are pretty freaking hot. Let me see what we get in the thermometer. Let's see what we get here. Domes. We're at 124. Man, they seem hotter than that. 125. Low one, that one, 128. The left ones. Tones. 129. 124. Condensers, I gotta have to get my mirror. Anyways, so I gotta get into these things, see what's what. We put some tappet lines on this thing just to check it out. And, you know, I have to check my discharges. I'm gonna check my discharge lines, see what they're running at. Okay, the amps for this motor. Before change the motor. 0.42 amps. My meter's about 0.2 off, so right around probably 0.40 amps, but that motor is turning way too slow. But anyways, then we got some testo probes on, oh shit. I was taking the video the wrong way. Well, we'll see what that does. Anyway, so I got my Testo 905 is the 585 on the bottom there, 83.5 degree ambient in the room. Discharge line 114 before adding any service valves or access or anything. So that line is yeah, it doesn't burn my hands, so it should. So it's like what it says, 114. Not hot enough, should be up around 150 or better. So we're not getting enough subcooling coming back to the compressor. That's what's going on here. We got, I have to get another, yeah, but that's, yeah, we got, anyways, got some issues with this one. So 0.42. We'll check to see what the amps are on this thing. see what's what. Okay, thanks for watching. Stay tuned. Now this is the Everest. Check out this fan motor. Where I told you it was running slow. Check this out. With that big old fan blade on there, that thing should spin freely. It doesn't. That motor's so on its way out. We gotta check the amps on that motor. But this one was the 0.40 amps. And it's not terrible. It seemed worse than the other one though, but we'll see. Anyways, these are 10-year-old motors. So at 10 years you gotta change. You want to change them anyhow. Yeah, it's not free. When you do that, it should keep spinning and spinning, so you can see that it just stops. So yeah, both these motors are gonna go bye-bye. So this one, like I said over here, was 0.40 amps. We'll see what the new one is when I put it in. Anyhow, I know that one over there was brand new and hauling ass. So okay, anyhow, stay tuned. Okay guys, changing out this condenser fan motor on this Everest. This one right here. Cut this back, did the amp ratings a bit, you guys got that. These screws here are 5/16. A little stubby. Works good here for doing these screws. And we'll see down here, as you can see, that goes on there pretty good. And so that goes on there pretty good. Yeah, I got some wounds there from a helper. Pulled out a disconnect over the weekend when I was doing that air conditioning job, and he pulled out the disconnect. The guy had never worked on air conditioning or anything before. He was a helper for the general contractor. Pulled it out, and fucking the pull out copper things, he scraped the side of my left arm as he was pulling it out of there. So I'm like, fuck, dude. Yeah, anyway, so that's the price you get with helpers sometimes, especially when they're starting out. So anyhow, so step one, changing a condenser fan motor on an Everest, is take out these 5/16 right here. So I like putting my screws in my left pocket in my jeans. I just put them in my left pocket, and that's where all my screws go. You guys, I know, use the magnetic dishes and all that kind of stuff, but that's how I do it. I just put all the screws that go in my left pocket, and that's how I've done it for years, and it's good for me. I don't lose screws that way. That's kind of just habit too, you know. I always got my left, and there's just 4 screws, you know, right there, and I just stick everything in my left pocket, and I know at the end of the job, if I got extra stuff in my left pocket, I oops. So anyway, so anyhow, so that's how you just pull that thing out. Just 4 screws. I had the 4th screw already out on the other one, if you guys are wondering, like, hey, he only had 3 screws in it. No, not. Anyways, so this is anyways, it's getting replaced. So it shouldn't stop like that. It should freewheel, so a lot better. But like I said, 10-year-old motor. Never leave 10-year-old motors in the units. At 10 years, if they make it to 10 years, always change them out. You're just doing a customer a solid, and you're making some good work for you or your company or whatever, and it's a win-win deal for you and the company and the customer. You're doing them a solid, you know. So anyways, that's a little tidbit information there. Anyhow, so let me get to undoing this. So it's like Phillips screw, just takes this off, and always scratch so you know which way the blade came off. What I do is I always put a mark. I'm going to try to do this with my hand, but you see that, just like scratch mark? So that way you know that when you clean the blade and put it back on, I always put it, you know, you put an X or some kind of scratch, a couple scratches, so you know which way it, you know, you always do it on the top here, so you know which way the blade came off, and you know, you just for sure which way the blade came off, unless you knew it was wrong to begin with. But anyways, but that's just my little trick for making sure that you put the blade back on right. Okay, so, and it doesn't wash off when you clean the blade in the sink, you know. Always scratch it, don't use a pen. If you use a marker, it'll just wash off when you clean it. Okay, thanks for watching. Okay guys, so I'm pulling this motor out of the Everest. Okay, so looks like the motor that will line up the best here, and the amps, like I said, were like 0.40. So this Johnstone, this motor is 0.40, 6 watt, and the body size, if you look at where it bolts and where the front blade will attach, it'll be exact. So it looks like this, I put it in a 9 watt box. I don't have the right box in front of me, but this will tell you everything. It's got the number on it, the S55-311, so that's your Johnstone number. So that's your number that we should be able to use for replacing this motor, which this is a CW blade. But as you can see, it digs in. How you always tell which way a blade rotates is, a guy made a great analogy before, is you pretend it's on the beach and you set the blade on the sand, and whichever way it digs into the sand is the way it turns. And some guy told me that many years ago. I think it was actually a smart counter guy that had been in the field, the older guy. I think it was Jerry from Allied. I think he's up in Long Beach now, if anybody knows him. Yeah, Jerry was I don't know if he's still around. Got to be getting up there in years, but I haven't seen Jerry in a while. Jerry used to be in Santa Ana, if anybody knows him. From Allied Refrigeration. Not to be confused with Jim Pettinato of Allied Refrigeration in Chicago. Or anyways. So it looks like that'll work. 9 watt I have here, which would be more bulletproof because I do higher amps. Do 0.53 amps. I don't know, 9 watt. But it doesn't quite, the body doesn't, where the screws and where the blade's going to sit will be, it would work, and the blade would just sit a little bit far out, which is a good way to go. As far as, I'd rather have it a little bit too far out than too far in to where it could hit the condenser, you know. So still, either motor would work, but we'll have to see. I'll try them both, see which one I like. So anyhow, okay, so let me wash this stuff up and put it back together. All right. Okay, replacing the condenser fan motor on an Everest. Refrigerator 3-door, or 1-door, 2-door, 3-door. I'll use the same motors. Looks like it's a 6 watt. These screws, they work right off of the old motor. So in a 9 watt, 6 watt, they all have the same screw threads in the holes. So these work. The screws that came out of here work in here. Amps on the motor I took out were 0.4. So putting in one that does 0.4 CW, and like I said, these screws, you reuse these, washed everything up, cleaned it up, and there's my scratch, like I told you, so I know which way and I know also that the blade's supposed to go that way, so I knew the blade was on right. Most common problem I do see in the field lots of times is you do see these blades put on the wrong way. So you gotta, but this is the original motor, like I said, 10-year-old unit, time for motors. So and this motor's running way slow. So anyhow, we're gonna put it in. So, and it sits where it sits is halfway on the fan guard. So that's what you notice. The blades half in and half out of the fan guard. So the 6 watt, this motor lines up perfect. This Johnstone S55-311 lines up perfect. So we'll see. I'm gonna put it in, see how the amps are, and see if everything works. I'm gonna have to see if I can get some of these motors from Everest. That'd be cool. We can stock these on the truck. See what they say. There's no watts on these things. You can just do it by amps. So 6 or a 9 watt will work. But the fan blade placement you have to be particular about. You know, like I said, half in and out is where it was from the factory. So see how it is when I put it in. Okay, click like on the video and subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. Thanks. Bye. Okay, guys, how you doing? Just putting a new motor back in. Filming with the iPhone 6s Plus in my right hand and doing the work with the left hand. So I think we call this pulling a NorCal. He does this too. So anyways, I guess us California guys are do a lot of the same stuff here. Anyways, I gotta give me some kind of, you guys got any suggestions for I wonder, can I put the iPhone on my head? Do they make a head mount for doing? So anyways, always when you're putting all your screws in, put them all 4 in loose first, about 3/4 of the way in, and then go around and do the final tighten on them. That way they line up, and just like that. And that driver probably could use the next size longer, but yeah, I couldn't do it up here, so this little stubby works out fine. I'll probably take my little 5/16 open end and just nip them down a little bit tighter just at the end for the final. But just wanted to show you how I do the wire connections. I like my wires to come out pretty close to the bottom, if not directly on the bottom. This one I'll probably take these wires and I'll put a wire tie loosely up here, because I don't like anything rubbing against anything. So if I left this down here, this wire would maybe rub against here, but I just like everything kind of up. So I'll put that up there and something like that. You'll see at the end. Anyways, I prep them out. I put a couple butt connectors on the end. I like using butt connectors. They're real good, and you get a real good connection, and you pull on them, make sure that they don't come apart. So you got a real good solid connection. They fit really well. I'll just do that, and then I'll put a piece of duct tape around each one just to keep it isolated from anywhere. So I put a piece of duct tape on separately on each one. So that's how I like to do it. So I like it better than wire nuts. So either way is fine though. Anyways, so that's that. That's how you put in the motor. And let me see. Let me see. Use a long skinny screwdriver. I got this long skinny screwdriver for doing thermostats and stuff. I love this screwdriver. I think it's a Craftsman. I think it's anyways, works really good for sticking in fan blade places, and so spinning, so for spinning fan motors and stuff like that. So anyways, so that's how you want to do that always before you plug in the unit, so you know if your fan blade doesn't hit or not. Anyways, thanks for watching. Click like on the video if you would, and subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. Thanks. Bye. Okay, Everest. 3-door Everest refrigerator. Amps. How do you tell if a condenser fan motor is bad? Okay, I just replaced one of the motors, and 0.37 amps on the new motor. It's a 6 watt. Put in the 6 watt. 0.40 is max allowable. And we got 0.37, 0.36, and my meter is 0.2 already off. So it's really 0.35. It already is at plus 0.02. I gotta get the meter calibrated or get a new meter. I want to get one of those DL, whatever. Mine's a DL 49, UEI DL 49. It's a pretty good meter. I want to get the meter that NorCal uses with the backlight, and so I'll probably end up doing that. But anyways, this is bitchin'. This new motor works out really well. 6 watt Johnstone. So going real nice, 0.36, and the one that's got the tight motor side is drawing 0.44. So I would guess these are 6 watt motors. It doesn't say on the tag inside the unit in the fridge. So this bad one, this motor is definitely tight. You can tell as you turn the fridge off and you see if you can spin the motor, the fan blade, and if it doesn't spin very well, it's no good, you know. So 0.44 on this. So good here. Yeah. So I would say anything over 0.40 is what I would look. Anything over 0.40, and I would replace the fan motor because they're 6 watts. Doesn't say on this tag at all, and it doesn't say this schematic, so it's not going to say obviously, but it should say in here. It should say on the tag. And unless you guys can see it, unless I'm missing it on here, it is not on this tag. I see the compressor, total amps. I got compressor 9.49 compressor, 4.03 for defrost. They give you that, but there is no fan amps for any of the fans, which kind of sucks. But that's China for you, or Korea. I think these are made in Korea. If I'm not mistaken, I don't see it on the tag anywhere. Yeah, they're assembled in Korea. Yeah, oops, shit. Okay. Yeah, but there we go. Yeah, assembled. I don't have the light on, so anyways. But yeah, Korea. Everest made in Korea. Okay. Hey world, how you doing? So when you're replacing a condenser fan motor on a Everest, you'll take out like a motor like this. 6 watt is the proper motor to put in here, but if you just have like a 9 on the truck like what I carry, you could use that, but like I said, I'm just going to put a 9 in and get a 6 and swing back and change it out when I have time. But when you're changing the motor out, always put the motor in first without the blade, because that way it doesn't touch and you can not bend the blade or anything like that. So you put the motor in first, you know, and then you can just flip it over and look for your mark. Like I said, I always put a mark on them when I take them off. That way you know it's going to go right back on, and you can double check the direction, you know, which way it comes off too. But when you use a 9 instead of a 6 on this, or the original Everest motors, would be probably best if you could order those, you know. But anyways, so this motor, when you use a 9 instead of a 6, it's gonna line up pretty damn close. You see the blade, when you put a 9 on here, the blade's not quite as far in as it should be. It should be in the housing a little farther. So that's the only difference between 6 9 watt will handle the load better though. I want to see if it turns faster or what it looks like running, so it's just kind of a little experiment on my part. Anyways, like I said, I'm going to come back and if I don't like it, I'm going to come back and put a 6 on it, or just one that, or maybe just even order the right Everest motor. I'll try doing that. So anyways, thanks for watching. Click like on the video and subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. Alright, thanks, bye.